Good morning. We are going to call the committee to order, but we're going to go at ease for 1 second. Thank you. Before crossover, Mr. Clerk, if you can open the roll. All right, it looks like we have a quorum. This morning, I'm going to call Delegate Guzman up first to present her bill.
I have a substitute for your consideration for House Bill 1502.
There's a substitute that's properly been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. All right, any opposed? Delegate Guzman, the substitute's before us. If you could explain your bill and what's in the substitute.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 1502 directs the Department of Environmental Quality to conduct a one-year study of all standby generators used by commercial facilities in the Commonwealth, including data centers, and explore ways to address the pollution from such generators. We all know that standby generators produce many harmful pollutants. These pollutants have been associated with cardiovascular and respiratory diseases and emergency room visits for asthma, among other health effects. The study shall identify commercial facilities that use standby generators, including data centers, and identify the type of pollutants emitted, and analyze and describe the amount of pollutants from these standby generators. I would like to thank Madam Chair to the Department of Environmental Quality to work with me on this bill and committed to produce this information. That the study is not due until they have 1 year to do it, and they are willing to absorb this task. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Delegate Guzman. Are there questions from the committee? Delegate Ware.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I notice, and I can't find the substitute here, but I noticed that we've moved from the Air Pollution Board to the DEQ for a one-year study. And I did hear you say they said they could absorb it. Did they give you a price tag on what that would be? I don't have a fiscal impact statement here.
Great.
And I say that, I ask, Madam Chair, because oftentimes when we get to this point where we talk about studies, the agencies have a full plate before them, and I just want to see.
Thank you, Delegate Ware. I think the director is coming up.
Good morning, Chairman Tran, Delegate Ware. We are already working on similar things so we can absorb it with the current workload. Just because it's become such an issue from so many directions, we're already started that work.
Thank you. Thank you, Director. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Madam Leader, Delegate Hearing.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted everyone to know you can find the substitute on LIS. It is up on this bill. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Wasn't 2 minutes ago.
Thank you. Yes, please look at LIS as we get amendments and substitutes throughout committee. Are there other questions from our committee members? Okay, I don't see any hands. Are there folks in the room who'd like to speak in support of this bill? If you could please line up.
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning.
Members of the subcommittee. My name is Kyle Hart. I'm with the National Parks Conservation Association. As you know, data center diesel generators is a big issue. There are more than 10,000 individual generators currently permitted by DEQ around the state. Some recent research out of DEQ, or not out of DEQ, out of VCU, indicates that sort of on aggregate, these sources create as much pollution as individual large pollution sources. And so we think this is an important first step to start to get our arms around this issue as a state and start thinking about what we can do to better protect our air quality, our climate, and our communities. And for those reasons, we support the bill. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, Blair St. Ledger Olson with the Virginia League of Conservation Voters. We thank the patron for bringing this bill. It really complements a suite of legislation that you're going to see before you this morning, whether or not we're talking about what types of diesel generators should be permissible or what the environmental impacts of those are and public health as well. We do need to be getting a more comprehensive sense of what these impacts are and making sure we're making the best decision for our Commonwealth. So we would ask you to support the bill. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Jay Ford with the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. We associate ourselves with the previous speaker's comments. I would just add that from the Bay's perspective, what goes up into the air and then makes its way to our waterways is still one of the largest unaccounted sources of impacts to our waterways. This is a significant concentrated source at a generator. And getting our arms around it would be an important step in tackling this pollution source. So we hope you support the bill. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Are there folks in the room who would like to speak in opposition to this bill? All right, I don't see anybody. It is back with our committee. And there's no one online.
All right, Madam Chair, I have a motion.
Madam Leader, Delegate Hearing.
Madam Chair, I move to report with substitute.
Second.
There's been a motion properly seconded to report House Bill, oops, I'm sorry, it's not up on my screen anymore. House Bill 1502 as substituted. Mr. Clerk, if you can please open the roll. All right, and that motion passes by a vote of 9-1. Thank you so much, Delegate Guzman.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee.
All right. Delegate Simons, are you ready? I know you have another committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a substitute.
Move the substitute.
Second. There's been a motion properly seconded to move the substitute. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Delegate Simons, would you please explain your substitute and your bill?
So the substitute incorporates some technical changes based on feedback from DEQ and incorporates a delayed enactment to January 1st, 2027 to allow adequate time for implementation. It also conforms this version to exactly what passed the Senate 35-5 last week.
Thank you, Delegate Simons.
HB 589 is really a simple bill. It creates a new water use reporting category to DEQ. The bill gives DEQ a straightforward, important tool to better understand water demand from data centers. This bill does not require anything of data centers. It simply requires any water supplier that provides water to a data center to report the total amount of water supplied, including reclaimed water to DEQ. This does not require additional data collection because water providers already have water use information. This bill will allow DEQ to receive clear, consistent data on how much water is being used by the sector, which is the fastest growing water user in the state. As for timing of the new reporting schedule, we worked a lot on this. This bill only asks water suppliers to report on their existing schedule. Additionally, this conforms to DEQ's reporting cycle. If DEQ reports annually, it will continue to do so. They will simply have more precise data to include in that report. This information is critical for responsible, data-driven planning, allowing the State Water Central Board and DEQ to more accurately project water demand, assess regional water supply risk, and prepare for drought conditions while protecting drinking water, agriculture, and environmental needs. Happy to take any questions from the committee.
Thank you, Delegate Simons. Are there any questions for the patron from committee members? All right, I don't see any hands up. Are there folks in the room who'd like to speak in support of this bill?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, my name is
Morning.
Brent Hunsinger. I'm with Friends of the Rappahannock. We thank the delegate for patroning this bill. We do support this bill. This is a good governance and transparency bill. An identical bill has passed the Senate. DEQ, whose responsibility it is to ensure safe and stable water supplies are available to all Virginians, does not receive any water usage data related to how much water data centers use. We need this information to help Virginia make good water supply decisions. The rapid growth of the data center industry comes at a time when surface water flows are increasingly variable and groundwater aquifers are experiencing depletion. Data centers can use millions of gallons of water a day. The industry also uses confidentiality agreements to hide estimated water usage on the front end when a project is applying for reclassification. So this results in the state having no window into how much water use data centers are using. Thank you.
Thank you and good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Kyle Hart, National Parks Conservation Association. I want to make two additional points. So the first point is this is information that individuals can already FOIA from water authorities. So this information exists out there. We know this because individuals have already FOIA'd places like utilities like Loudoun Water to request this information. So this is information that they have available. We're just building it into their existing reporting model to DEQ. The second point is data center water transparency. I like to describe it as two sides to a coin. So we need, for like good water utility planning, we need actual use on the ground. So that's reporting number one. And then the other side is we need predicted future use. And so that was a different bill that was floating around in this body previously, was unfortunately carried over to 2027. But I want people to recognize that these are two different concepts, and we need both of these pieces of information to adequately plan for our water supply planning for the future. So for those reasons, we support the bill. Thank you very much.
Madam
Good
Chair.
morning.
Good morning. Members of the subcommittee, Blair St. Ledger Olson with the Virginia League of Conservation Voters. We have a lot of bills before this body dealing with issues around data centers. One of the most important things that we can do to better support our communities and better support the planning efforts of the Commonwealth is to get a handle on just how much water usage we are dealing with. Our water planning process at the Commonwealth is pretty outdated. There have been a couple improvements over the last few years to implement better regional planning, for instance, but this is an issue of statewide importance. How our water is being used, what aquifers are being impacted, where shortages could occur is really important data for us to get our hands on. We simply want to be able to know what the reporting amounts are, be able to aggregate that data within DEQ so that we do have a better statewide picture. And so for those reasons, I would ask you to support the bill. Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Rebecca Malpass with the Virginia Conservation Network. We associate ourselves with the previous comments, and we support the bill. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Good morning. If you can share insights that have not yet been lifted up, that would be great. Thank you.
Madam Chair, Pat Calvert on behalf of American Rivers. As briefly as I can, local and regional water supply plans are in process. Department of Environmental Quality is required to oversee that process, but they don't have access to this very basic information about what this industry is using.
Great, thank you so much. Good morning.
Morning, Madam Chair. As the patron said, this is a tool that helps make better planning decisions moving forward, and for that reason, Potomac Conservancy supports this bill.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Rachel Henley with Virginia Farm Bureau. We'd like to align our comments with the previous speakers and also just note that even historic information is really helpful for our localities to make decisions in citing these data centers as well. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you so much. Good morning. If you can share insight that hasn't been shared before.
Good morning, Emily Steinholber, EDF Action, and I will keep it simple and say we support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Emma Berry, Southern Environmental Law Center, and we support this bill.
Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Steve Carter Lovejoy with the Virginia Sierra Club, and we support this bill.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Shannon Norcutt with James River Association, and we support this bill.
Thank you, and good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Madeline Green with the Potomac Riverkeeper Network. We support this bill.
All right, are there any folks in the room who wish to speak in opposition to this bill?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Nicole Riley with the Data Center Coalition. The data center industry is committed to responsible water use, and it prioritizes efficient water practices and responsible management across operations and development. In the 2024 JLARC report, they found that data centers' water usage is currently sustainable, and the state ensures future sustainability through regulation. In fact, 83% of data centers in Virginia use the same amount of water or less than the average large office building in Virginia. For context, the average large office building in Virginia uses 6.7 million gallons of water per year, or approximately 18,400 gallons per day, the same amount needed to fill an average residential swimming pool. Data centers are also actively investing in and deploying innovations such as waterless cooling systems, closed-loop systems, and the use of recycled or reclaimed water, and actively engaged in water restoration projects in local communities. Before construction even begins on a data center site, a company already must disclose its projected daily water usage with the locality. Our main concern with this legislation is that it targets only one industry. We believe policymakers should know the water usage of all commercial and industrial users so they can make fully informed decisions. What you could potentially be putting local policymakers in the position of where they could deny a data center based on water usage alone, but then approve a project that actually uses more water than data centers. And for that reason, we would ask you to oppose. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Are there any folks online? Yes. There is somebody online. Bob Shippey is online. Thank you so much, Bob. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, and I apologize. We have double testimony on this, and Sierra Club supports. Thanks.
Great, thank you so much. And there's nobody online to oppose this bill. It is now back with the committee. Are there any questions from our committee members?
Madam Chair.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Can I respond to the data centers at the appropriate time?
Yes, I think you get to have the final word, Delegate Simons. Are there any questions from our committee members?
Madam Chair, I know that in county, cities, and town, there is a House Bill 496 that sort of aligns with this Delegate Guzman. And I'm wondering if there may be, if the delegate was aware, because I know sometimes we have the same types of bill about water usage and specifically down to the localities providing reports. I was wondering if the delegate was aware of that bill too.
Madam Chair, Yes, that bill is different. It's a broader bill. This is very tailored to annual reports to DEQ and just creating an extra category of reporting. They already do this reporting, but right now data centers are getting lumped in with other industrial users, so you can't differentiate the data. This is much smaller and more tailored.
Thank you. Delegate Simons, are there any other questions from our committee members? Is your hand up? Delegate McAuliffe.
Just a comment. I just want to thank the patron for bringing this forward. In Western Loudoun County, we've had 800 wells run dry in the last few years, and folks are under not just groundwater advisements, but actual penalties in some of our towns for overusage of water. So, very serious issue. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands up. Delegate Simons, you get the last word.
Madam Chair, the Data Center Coalition mentioned that the water use, nothing to see here, that there's no problem. We don't know that because we don't have the data to prove that. This is a simple bill which just adds a layer of transparency, and it benefits everyone, including the data center industry. There has been real innovation there in water efficiency, reclaimed water use, cooling technologies, but right now that progress isn't visible in any comprehensive reporting. Better data may very well show that improvements are working in the data center industry. This is a common sense step, but it's about understanding growth so we can manage it responsibly. Thank you.
Thank you. The bill is back with the committee.
Madam Chair, I have a substitute motion.
Leader Herring.
I move to lay on the table.
There's a second to, this is a substitute motion. I think that is like in higher order than the initial motion to gently lay this bill on the table. I think that the water issue around data centers is going to be picked up in the CC&T committee. So I think we'll see that conversation continue there. That's a voice vote. Oh, no, it's a recorded vote. My apologies, Mr. Clerk. And that motion passes by a vote of 7-0. Leader Herring, is your hand up?
Yes, and I want the patron to know the reason I lay on the table instead of continue, because there's still a possibility, and I just want you to know that I do recognize how it is narrowly tailored, and I think, unfortunately, I think you're caught up in a situation where there are two bills addressing water usage, and I appreciate the distinction with yours. So thank you.
Thank you.
Delegate Thomas, oh, I'm sorry, it was Delegate Hodges was in line first. Delegate Hodges.
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have House Bill 1152.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. And there's a substitute. This is hot off the press early at a little after 6 o'clock this morning. So we do, I think I have enough copies. You do? Okay, thank you. So, and if I may, Madam Chair, continue.
Yes,
substitute.
There's been a motion to move the substitute. That's been properly seconded. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, the substitute is properly before us. I just want to make sure, are we able to post the substitute online as well? No, we are not. Okay.
I can explain, Madam Chair.
You explain the substitute.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to get off on a tangent, and most of you know I can do that very easily. In looking at, and as a pharmacist, I'm looking at drug shortages. I'm looking looking at drug shortages. I'm looking at, manufacturing, and, looking here in Virginia, and we are poised to be the leader in advanced pharmaceutical manufacturing in the nation. We have the companies, we have the research, we have the Medicines for All program, and they have advanced, they have degrees in advanced pharmaceutical manufacturing there. And in talking with folks, one of the number one reasons that we don't attract these companies from Europe, and you have the top 10 companies in Europe, is because of our carbon footprint. And when you look at this, we have nature-based solutions, trees and oysters, that this is a free market, and companies such as Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Bayer is the largest purchaser of these nature-based credits in the world. They want to strike one check, no less than 7 figures, and how do we filter that down to incentivize folks to keep their land in silviculture, growing trees, and to grow oysters, because that's where our carbon credits are. And this is a worldwide market, so you can be in Japan or Europe or Australia or wherever and purchase these credits. So I came up with this idea that says, all right, let's create a fund that where the state would keep a portion of those credits. We can put it into hardwoods. We can incentivize manufacturers. We can grow more oysters. And, the language couldn't quite get there, but working with the Bay Foundation, I appreciate their support. We came up with this language basically to at least get it moving forward, where we can establish where the state can participate in these carbon markets and bring some dollars, start to find a way to bring those dollars into Virginia. And this is a free market. So we're looking at, just in the Middle Peninsula, we're looking at $20 to $30 million in carbon credits and expanding, 40 million more trees in restoration. Not to mention, growing more oysters. So this is something that we really need to continue to look at. I think this legislation is a start, Madam Chair. And what I would like to do, and if it's okay with Chairman Lopez, is to go ahead and continue with this legislation, move it forward, and also a letter to kind of put this on steroids, because this is something that could bring millions, if not billions of dollars by incentivizing, the companies to come to Virginia, decreasing our carbon footprint, bringing manufacturing to the urban areas, but also at the same time, sending the dollars down to our rural areas that, something we're good at is growing oysters and growing trees. And this would actually filter down, those dollars would actually filter down to the folks that would be growing the trees and also growing the oysters. So it's a win-win for everyone. If we can do that, if the chairman would agree to that, I think, we can talk offline a little bit about that and do that. We've talked a little bit, so that's the bill, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Delegate Hodges. Are there any initial questions from our committee members as Delegate Glass?
Gratitude, Madam Chair. I recognize that the original version said that it was anticipated to be absorbable, Madam Chair. So I'm wondering if that's still the case for VDAX with the substitute and if they've seen it.
I can't see if there's somebody from VDAX here. Okay.
And Madam Chair, this is actually, Madam Chair, this is drawn to the Department of DEQ. And
DEQ.
We've talked with them to be able to do that.
So, Madam Chair, my question still remains for the department that will be, because it just says department here. Is this still an absorbable? Would this be an absorbable cost given the substitute, and if they've seen it?
Director Rollman, I think you should just sit in the front row. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Tran. Delegate, we have not seen this until just a few minutes ago, so we have no opinion and we have no position, but it was a VMRC bill, so I'm going to invite Joe Grist to potentially.
I get to repeat what the director just said. We have no position. We have just saw a version of it, and we haven't had a chance to really dive into it. But it's tied to both of us, it appears, to both the DEQ and MRC.
Okay, thank you. Delegate Glass.
Just a comment, Madam Chair, and I'm wondering if this bill is to move forward, that we get that information as to do no harm to the department or provide some sort of fisc to them as well.
Thank you. And I think if there is a FIS, that will certainly be
Madam Chair,
flagged
if
for
I
us
may,
through the process. You may.
I'm sorry. If I may, Madam Chair, this actually will bring revenue to the state. The original fund that I intended, there were two separate bills. So, that the other bill, we took that away. That legislation actually would be a piece of legislation that would be in perpetuity and zero cost to the state because you are generating revenue from the Commonwealth, if you look at this.
Right. Thank you. I don't see any other hands up from our committee members. Are there folks in the room who wish to speak in support of this bill? Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Jay Ford with the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to Delegate Hodges. He's identified a gap in the marketplace that aligns with our state natural resource goals and has really proposed a novel approach to take advantage of this need in the marketplace for carbon sequestration credits and to drive it back into Virginia's natural resources. And so we've enjoyed the conversations with the delegate on this. I recognize that what is in front of you is probably not what would be the end result. There's some more tweaks that need to happen, but in concept, this is a really good proposal. And I did want to clarify a couple of things. One, the confusion about, is this at VMRC, VDAX, the department? So there is a precedent for this, and that's really what we look to. In code right now, there was a great piece of legislation that came through a few years back that was specific to subaquatic vegetation. And subaquatic vegetation has a great carbon sequestration value, but it's on state-owned bottomlands. And that's similar to some of the proposals for oyster work. And so how do you take a state land, but then get that into a private credit market and let those revenues flow was sort of a novel question. At the time, with subaquatic vegetation, we elected to have those funds go back into SAV restoration work. So you were taking advantage of the fact that you were already sequestering carbon, you were kind of leaving money on the table, and then you could drive it back into that restoration work. We are much more prolific when it comes to oyster work in Virginia. I think we have the best oysters in the country. And because of that, if there is a potential market for carbon in oysters and we could aggregate that, we would want those credits to live in the same place, which is at the Department of Environmental Quality. The reason they elected to put it there is because the department calculates our total carbon loads through their greenhouse gas inventory. So when they produce that, they look at all the emissions that are coming out. They also look at what we're sequestering through nature, and this information would flow into that report. The last thing I would say is if we can get this to the right form, this is such a win-win for the folks that are doing the work, cleaning up our water with oysters, for Virginia's sequestration goals, but again, because a portion of this as written would drive right back into replenishment and restoration work, it would allow our oysters to beget more oysters, and that's just good policy. So with that, we hope that you all will let this vehicle continue to move so we can nail it down and get this good idea into action. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Are there other folks? I don't see anybody else in line. Are there folks who speak in opposition to this bill? I don't see anybody, and there is no one online, Mr. Clerk? No. Nobody online. Committee members, so I think that, just to clarify, it seems like some type of partnership between DEQ, VMRC, and VDAX would have to occur, and a question around can the department absorb this work, and I'm sure as it proceeds, if it makes it out of our subcommittee, all three will let us know if they have concerns, I have no doubt, and if there's a fiscal impact. But this bill, as substituted, is now with our subcommittee.
Madam Chair, I move that we report HB 1152 with substitute. Second.
There's been a motion properly seconded to report as substituted House Bill 1152. Mr. Clerk, if you can open the roll. All right, and we can close the roll. That motion passes by a vote of 9-1.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Delegate Hodges. All right, next we have Delegate Thomas. Good morning. We have House Bill 154, committee members.
Yes, Madam Chair, and if there are data center bills on the docket, the 21st District will enter the chat. And today we are chatting about House Bill 154, which I believe has some amendments.
There's been a motion to move the amendments, properly seconded. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The bill as amended is now before us. Would you like to explain the amendments, or would you like counsel to?
I can do it, Madam Chair.
right.
I mean, essentially what changed is tighter definitions for emergency and emergency generating unit. So instead of applying the provisions to all of data center generators that have been issued an air quality permit by DEQ, it also clarifies the timeline by which data center operators must disclose generator activity. In addition, the new language excludes low-load telecommunications facilities, which could have been, improperly captured in the original definitions of the bill.
Great, thank you.
Perfect. Well, moving forward with the description of the
forward
bill,
on the bill.
Madam Chair, really, in short, we all know that data centers require a lot of energy, and when they cannot receive that energy from the grid, they have diesel generators on site that they can power up to make sure that they do not lose power. Those diesel generators put a lot of particulates into the atmosphere, and as we well know from a 20-year plus study in the San Joaquin Valley in Southern California, that particulates in the air in high concentrations can have a direct impact on children's lung capacity, which also can have an impact on children's intelligence, academic performance test scores. And so as we have, or our localities rather, have deemed it, for whatever reason, appropriate to put data centers next to many schools across the Commonwealth, there is incredible concern that when diesel generators of this magnitude are fired up for periods longer than the customary monthly 5-minute tests that data centers do, that it could have real harm for our citizens and in particular our children. And so what this bill is in response to is last year there was an incident where PJM requested that a data center go off the grid in a demand response situation because it was very, very hot that day in the afternoon. And the public is not aware of where that data center was, how long those diesel generators were fired up, and how many particulates were put into the air. And so very simply, Madam Chair, what this bill seeks to do is just require a disclosure to the public within 24 hours of such an event, so that the public and our leaders can start collecting data on how long and where such particulates are put into the atmosphere.
Thank you so much, Delegate Thomas. Are there any questions from our committee members about House Bill 154? I don't see any hands up. Are there any folks in the room who wish to speak in support of House Bill 154?
Morning, Madam
Morning.
Chair and members of the subcommittee. My name is Kyle Hart with the National Parks Conservation Association. First and foremost, I want to thank the delegate for bringing this bill. This is a constituent bill, and we're very supportive of that effort. As you heard from the delegate, this is simply information gathering on behalf of DEQ. When these facilities do get fired up, whether it's for demand response, which we hope isn't happening, but unfortunately is sporadically, or emergency outages, we think it's the public's right to know that this is happening in their communities. And for those reasons, we support the bill. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members
Good
of
morning.
Good morning, members of the subcommittee. Blair St. Ledger Olson with Virginia LCV. I'll be brief. We support this bill. It is purely about constituent notice and transparency, and we'd ask you to support it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Are there folks in the room who wish to speak in opposition to this bill? Good morning.
Trying to get up here quickly. Hello, members of the committee. Subcommittee Nicole Riley with the Data Center Coalition. The JLARC report found that data center backup generators are rarely run for prolonged periods, and emissions are unlikely to adversely affect regional air quality. Also, the generators are rarely run, are typically run only for limited amounts of times as part of routine maintenance. And for example, in 2023, the industry's actual emissions were only 7% of what permits are allowed, with most emissions coming from maintenance testing. Again, our main concern here is that this is, again, targeting one industry. I think it would, again, behoove for policymakers and for the public to know about all commercial and industrial, anyone that has these permits, that they need to be reporting. So I think, again, our position here is that this is just targeting us, and we think that policymakers should have the whole picture of what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Are there other folks in the room who wish to speak in opposition to this bill? Okay, I don't see anybody stepping up. Online, I think we have Bob Shippey, who's here to speak in support. Go ahead, Bob.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Bob Shippey with Sierra Club, and we think this is a common sense bill that will help the folks that live in these communities. So we hope you'll support it. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. And I don't think we have anybody signed up to speak in opposition to this bill. The bill is back with our subcommittee. Delegate Glass.
Gratitude, Madam Chair. So this is Data Center Day on our natural resources, and I'm looking at what we're holding in our hands, even with the amendments for Delegate Thomas's bill, that there seems to be another bill holding this in hand with maybe a little bit step forward. I don't know if the delegate was aware of the other bill on the docket, because, again, sometimes we're carrying the same sorts of things. I just wanted to flag that. And then to say, I got really excited because I heard the Data Center Coalition, every time they spoke, they are concerned with cumulative impacts. It seems like that this is a flag to your bill, Delegate Tran. And I'm hoping, I am hoping that the coalition can find it in their hearts to support that, because I think many of us want to understand the comprehensive impacts of the work that is trying to be done. So I thank the delegate for bringing the bill. I thank the Data Center Coalition for being on board with cumulative impacts. And I know that we're going to address this some way, somehow. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Delegate Glass. Are there other questions or comments from our subcommittee? I don't see none. I don't see any. The bill is with our subcommittee.
Madam Chair.
Delegate Glass.
Madam Chair, with no regrets, because I know that we're going to address this issue, and I appreciate the constituent bringing this forward, but I'm going to move to lay this bill on the table as we walk forward with the issue.
Second.
There's been a motion properly seconded to gently lay House Bill 154 on the table. Mr. Clerk, if you can open the roll. That motion passes by a vote of 9-1. And thank you very much, Delegate Thomas, for fighting for your community.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee.
All right. The bill that's also in this issue area is House Bill 507 from Delegate Thomas. Delegate McAuliffe.
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning, Delegate McAuliffe.
Doing great. Thanks for letting me pop down here. There is a substitute before you that I've handed out that's making its way down the line.
Get a motion on the substitute. There's been a motion and properly seconded to move the substitute. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, the bill as substituted is properly before us. I just want to check. Council, is this a version that you're able to post online? Yes, I see nods. Okay, so that bill, the substitute will be posted online. Delegate McAuliffe, would you like to explain your substitute, or would you like council to?
Happy to do so.
All right, go ahead.
HB 507, as substituted, simply simplifies what we were trying to do with the original bill. Focuses particularly on making sure we have the cleanest technology in place with our data center generators. So this, similar to many of the bills that we've heard today, addresses a need in our communities that count data centers amongst their close neighbors, right? So Loudoun County leads the way with over 200, another 100 on the way, but many counties are going to face the exact same choices about where and how to site these. And in many cases, as has happened in my district, zoning administrators have approved these hyperscale data centers
within a couple hundred feet of folks' playgrounds, backyards, and cul-de-sacs. And so the biggest concern that I hear about back home is actually not energy usage, although we spent a lot of time talking about that last night. It's folks' health and the noise, right? And so whether it's very cold or very hot, the grid gets strained, and our data centers turn on these emergency generators, many of which are still diesel, and that is what HB 507 is really trying to address. So this bill simply ensures that any data center built after July 1st, 2026 must use that best generator technology with the fewest emissions and puts limits on when and how those will be used. So I appreciate the work of the department to help us chart this way forward. And I will note it's probably not the final step toward making sure that we have the best possible tech out there and being used, and those generators are being used in the right way for our communities, but it is a very good first step. And I hope it be the will of this very dedicated morning committee to pass the bill, and I yield for any questions you might have.
Thank you, Delegate McAuliffe, and we are a dedicated bunch. Do I have any questions about the substitute from committee members? Is that your hand up, Delegate Glass?
Again, here we go. So it looks like, based off the substitute, you've gotten your FISC, Madam Chair, it appears that the FISC has been taken down significantly, and I'm wondering if the DEQ can speak to that, Madam Chair?
Director, welcome back.
Good morning again, Chairman. Delegate Glass, the FISC will be zero now. And the reason is the substitute is what we suggested, and it's something we're doing. So we already have posted last December a guidance memo that makes the best available control technology to be Tier 4 equivalent generators. That was approved on Friday afternoon, and it's posted on our website. It will go to the town register to town hall to be published in the Virginia Register March 9th. But that's guidance. This would make it into code.
Thank you for that clarification, Director. Delegate Ware.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'm looking through it, and I somehow have a sense that maybe it's there are so many bills in this category, and it's still, I haven't had my second cup of coffee. But
Me either, sir.
I was thinking I had seen that there was a storage component to this, that there be backup storage. Am I missing something on that? Or?
Madam Chair, Delegate Ware, that was in the original, but it is not in the substitute for now. It's something we'd like to return to, as well as some of the reporting that was in the original, because I think it is all important. But I did get slapped with a $42 million FIS, and that is, I believe, one of the higher ones that the department has seen this year. And as we all know, it's a busy year for those sorts of things, and so we're going to start here and build upon it.
Prudence is always a good thing. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Delegate Ware. Nothing like a big fist to make us relook at some of the strategies. Okay, are there any other questions from our subcommittee members? I don't see any hands up. If you are in the room to speak in support of the bill, please come on up. If you can, please make sure that your comments highlight new perspectives that have not been shared before. Thank you so much. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, Blair St. Ledger Olson from the Virginia League of Conservation Voters. We absolutely supported the original bill. We understand $42 million is a lot of money. I can do that math. The bill that is before you, however, still makes significant progress. There are over 9,000 diesel generators permitted in the Commonwealth of Virginia, to my understanding, and about 8,000 of those are Tier 2s, according to the Virginia Mercury. We really need to be pushing I would say not just the data center industry, but industry across the Commonwealth to using the best available technology, those Tier 4 and Tier 4 equivalent generators, so that we are not doubling down on negative air quality impacts in our communities where these are aggregated together. And while they hopefully are not running very often, because none of us here want to see any sorts of power outages, they are still run for maintenance. They are still called upon by our RTO. And so we want to make sure, if and when they are called upon, that we are not using the worst technology, but are instead requiring the best. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Good morning again.
Good morning again, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. My name is Kyle Hart with the National Parks Conservation Association. I wanted to make one additional point. So we do support the substitute and associate ourselves with the comments of Virginia LCV that we really like the original bill. One point of note to Delegate Jackie Glass, the question about reporting. So obviously, unfortunately, we just laid Delegate Thomas's bill on the table The reporting component is now out of this bill. And so we would ask that, as the committee is considering this, that at some juncture, a reporting requirement be instituted either in this bill or maybe we revisit Delegate Thomas's bill or lay that on top. That would be my request to ensure that we are getting this information, given that clearly there was discussion that that is something that this body desires. So thank you very much.
Madam Chair, good morning. Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, Lillian Anderson with Virginia Conservation Network would associate myself with the comments of Virginia LCV. We support the bill. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Good morning.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Jay Ford with the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. We thank the delegate for this piece of legislation. For the reasons I mentioned earlier, getting our arms around this issue has significant impacts for our waterways and the communities where they're located, and we support this bill.
Great. Thank you so much. Are there folks in the room who wish to speak in opposition to this bill? Okay, I don't see anybody coming forward. There are a couple of folks online. I'm going to call you in the order that you signed up. And if you can also please make sure you keep your comments to new insights that haven't been shared before. Bob Shippey.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Bob Shippey with Sierra Club. We strongly supported the bill as introduced. We are neutral on this version, and there are three ways that it could be made better. And I hope that the body at some point during the process will do that. First is what Kyle just mentioned from NPCA, the monitoring and reporting element, I think could be kind of a light lift to reinsert into this bill. It's important. Second, we are concerned about generators, even if they're Tier 4, being run on non-emergency basis and or a broadening of what defines an emergency. So I would ask that either be thought of to be inserted into this legislation, or at least that the department would consider that. And lastly, we really do need to be creating a path towards battery backup, as Delegate Ware referenced. May take some years, but that is the end game. And having a lot of diesel generators that are going to become defunct is not a great solution. So for those reasons, we're very thankful for this delegate who's worked very hard on this bill, and appreciate further consideration as it moves along. Thanks.
Great. Thank you so much. To Dr. Bob Kitchen, who was my former constituent. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair. I'm Bob Kitchen, a family physician and member of Virginia Clinicians for Climate Action. Until such time as data centers have clean energy for backup, the provisions of this bill will help decrease the adverse health impact of diesel pollution on Virginians. VCCA supports this bill. Thank you.
Great. Good morning to Julie Bolthouse.
Hi, Julie Bolthouse with Piedmont Environmental Council, also the co-lead of the Virginia Data Center Reform Coalition. I want to associate my comments with Sierra Club's Bob Shippey and with Kyle Hart from MPCA. Our region covers Loudoun County, Piedmont Environmental Council's region, where we have significant concerns about the generators that are there. We're very thankful to the delegate and all the work that he's put into this and representing his constituents. But we do want to note that in addition to what's already been said, Tier 4 generators running in Sterling, Virginia, which is an environmental justice designated community by the federal government and by the county, currently has a data center, Vantage Data Center, that is running off of gas turbines, which are Tier 4 equivalents, in DEQ's eyes under a minor permit, releasing 56 tons of particulate matter per year. Those 8 gas turbines did not get any public review. They were just permitted like any other generators. And that is about 40 times the amount of particulate matter that would be in a typical Tier 2 diesel permit for emergency backup. So we would just urge you to also consider excluding the use of Tier 4 and gas turbines for primary power use under minor permits for data center campuses as well. This is a significant air quality impact for our community, especially in Sterling and other environmental justice communities, Remington, and another one in Sterling that are being proposed right now. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. So there's nobody online to speak in opposition to this bill, and it is now back before our subcommittee.
Bless you.
Move to report as substituted.
Sorry.
There's been a motion to report the substituted bill that's properly seconded. I'm going to ask the clerk to please open the roll. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. If members can cast their vote, we can let Delegate McAuliffe vote for his bill. Okay, and that motion passes by a vote of 7-3. Thank you so much. So next up, we have my bill, House Bill 1266. I'm going to turn it over to Leader Herring.
All right, Madam Chair, you may proceed.
Thank you so much. We do have a substitute to this bill that we posted online yesterday evening.
Second. Been moved and properly seconded that we adopt the substitute. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. All right, substitute's adopted and before us.
Okay. So in 2020, we passed the Virginia Environmental Justice Act, and in response, the Department of Environmental Quality drafted the Environmental Justice in the Permitting Process Guidance Memo and sent it to the Secretary of Natural Resources at that time. Unfortunately, that memo has never been published, and so what this substitute is it's a Section 1 bill that directs the Secretary of Natural Resources to publish an updated version of that memo. And it also requires the Department of Environmental Quality to include a public town hall no later than July 31 of this year, and to respond to public comments by October 31st, and then to publish updated final guidance by the end of the year. The substitute directs that the guidance memo consider how to assess cumulative impacts and how to better engage communities impacted by potentially harmful permitted projects. This bill will take us one step closer to ensuring that communities have a voice in our state permitting process before new pollutions are added to communities that are already overburdened. I just want to note, there was a lot of conversations about the original bill, and I do hope that for all industries that are impacted, my door is always open to meet and to discuss, and I think that I am committed to making sure that we have a better understanding of the cumulative impacts of all of our permits in our communities and how to best engage those community members who are directly affected. So I look forward, I hope that it's going to be the will of this subcommittee to pass this Section 1 bill, and look forward to that guidance and how do we continue down this path towards environmental justice. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any questions from committee members? All right, anyone here to testify in support of the bill? Okay, and if we can keep our comments brief, considering this is a long line. Thank you.
Certainly, and it's a very, very tremendously supported effort. Thank you, Delegate Tran, for patroning this bill, and we support the substitute. My name is Kim Sudderth. I'm Policy Director for Virginia Interfaith Power and Light. As you can tell, we do have overwhelming support from the environmental justice community. Communities do not experience pollution one permit at a time. They experience it all at once. Families in overburdened communities like mine live with layers of pollution. Air we shouldn't breathe, water we can't trust, and soil that carries long-term health risks. We look forward to this first step in assessing cumulative impacts, and we support this change. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I'm just going to go ahead and put 5 minutes on the clock for the supporters, and so we can make sure get everyone in. Go ahead.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. I'm Fatima Kamara with Virginia Conservation Network. We know that air pollution and water pollution do not know county lines, but many of the most polluting industries have been placed in the same localities over and over without knowing what the impacts of those compounding actions are. So we hope that it's the will of the body to pass this bill with meaningful community impact to protect our urban areas, our Virginians in Southwest Virginia. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. Melissa Thomas with the Climate Equity Working Group representing Appalachian Voices, CASA, Chesapeake Action Network, New Virginia Majority, Progress Virginia, Virginia Interfaith Power and Light, and Virginia Organizing. We thank the patron for bringing the bill. We appreciate the substitutes and are looking forward to hopefully bringing more substance to us next year. We particularly appreciate the ability to bring more community engagement. What we see often with a lot of these industrial plants is that they're built in the same communities that are typically redlined, have environmental justice communities. Often they're not aware, maybe because of a language barrier, that a new industrial site is going to be built. And if they are made aware, sometimes they don't have the opportunity to comment because there's no public hearing. So we appreciate this. We all support it, and we hope you do as well.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Jay Ford with the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. We strongly support this legislation. Quite frankly, it's been a long time coming. The report that is coming forward solves one of the major issues, which is that by the time a community learns about something, there is inertia. It has gone so far, and every meaningful opportunity to weigh in about areas of local importance, about existing pollution impacts, anything that that community-based knowledge that you need to get to a good place with a potential project, that the train has usually left the station. And so the report that DEQ was working on was to tackle that specific issue. How do you get to the community earlier in the process to let them weigh in? And so we're really grateful that this legislation would pull that report forward, as well as bring in the critical piece of cumulative impacts, and we hope you'll support the bill.
All right, thank you.
Madam Chairwoman, members of the subcommittee, Blair St. Ledger Olson for the Virginia League of Conservation Voters. I don't think I can put it better than any of my colleagues or even the members of this body who have discussed the very critical need for cumulative impacts legislation. So we would ask you to support. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Emma Berry with the Southern Environmental Law Center. We are incredibly in support of this bill. We are in support of the substitute, and we look forward to engaging throughout the year on this effort. And we also thank the patron for bringing this bill and for her dedication and work to making Virginia a more equitable place for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning. Kyle Hart, National Parks Conservation Association. We support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning. Emily Steinhover, EDF Action. Thank you, Delegate, for bringing this bill, and we support the bill.
Thank you.
Good morning, Ian Blair, Wetlands Watch. We support this bill.
Thank you.
Brian Hunsinger, Friends of the Rappahannock, and we support this bill. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Madam Chair, Pat Calvert, American Rivers. We're also in support of the bill.
Thank you. Is anyone in opposition to the bill? All right. Anyone online?
No.
All right. The bill's before the committee. Yes, Delegate.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to make an interesting note of the irony of this legislation in comparison with Senate Bill 347, for example, which limits local governments and local input on solar siting projects. And this seems to be a movement in limiting local influence and discussion on matters having to do with utility scale water and wind projects. So I note that there's an interesting irony in the legislation this way. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Delegate Ware. And Delegate Ware, since you brought up the cognate to my bill, I just have to respond that there was a substitute and there is no limitation on local control. Any other comments on this bill that is before us? All right. Delegate Glass.
Great. Thank you, Madam Leader. Comment, Madam Chair. It has been historically easy to say yes to wrecking shop in particular neighborhoods. Historically, it's just been easy. It has been really hard to get both states, the United States and local governments to say yes to the consequences of the shop wrecking. I am so grateful for this bill. I'm even more grateful for the original bill. But what I hope is that we get to a point to where we understand that it doesn't need to be profitable to undo the damages that we cause to communities, specifically Black and brown communities, specifically low-income communities, specifically rural communities. It's just easy to say yes to ruin folks' lives and then punish them for the cost that it takes for their health, and then punish them for the damage that it does to their homes, and then punish them. This is what we have done as a United States, and I'm hoping that in this Commonwealth, that this small step that Madam Chair is taking becomes a bigger step next year, because we want to do what is right, not what is profitable or convenient. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. All right, the bill's before us.
Move to report with substitute and refer to appropriations.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we report this bill and with substitute and refer to appropriations. Everyone wishing to vote, please do so on the electronic voting board. The clerk can close the roll. The bill reports and is referred to appropriation 7-3. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Leader Herring. And I believe that is the last bill on our docket for our subcommittee, and we will see everybody after crossover. But full committee is later on this morning, too. Thank you so much. With that, we adjourn.